The 2024 Formula 1 season was the first in history to have no driver swaps or rookies entering the field, which of course meant that for 2025 we did expect a change in the guard, and that's exactly what we've got for the 2025 season. So with so many new faces on the grid next year, I want to give you guys a quick overview of the new drivers, who they are, where they're from, what teams they're going to be racing for, so that you know a bit about them ahead of the new season. Now I'm going to start with the rookies, Ollie Bearman and Liam Lawson. Technically no, they're not rookies, but they are coming into their full season in Formula 1, so I've included them in the video. First up is Ollie Bearman, of course, will be driving for Haas next year alongside Esteban Ocon. He's currently 19 years old and was born on the 8th of May 2005. He is, of course, British and was born in Chelmsford. Obviously, we already know a little bit about Ollie Bearman, competing in 3 Grand Prix already. Of course, he had that spectacular debut for Ferrari in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, where he showcased exactly why he's got a seat for next year. Now, for the most part, I will be glossing over the karting records of these guys just because I don't know much about go-karting, but I will summarise that for you very quickly. They won, like a lot. Ollie Bearman did make the step up to single-seater cars in 2020 at just 15 years old, where he competed in the ADAC Formula 4 Championship and the Italian Formula 4 Championship, finishing in P7 and P10 respectively. Which may not sound great, but obviously this was his first year in a car. The kid was in go-karts the year before, right? But the year after, he would compete again in both championships, this time with a more competitive Van Amersfoort racing team, where he would go on to win both titles. Very impressive. He also took part in the GB3 Championship part-time, scoring a double podium on his first race weekend at Brands Hatch and a win in just his second race weekend at Snetterton. This was the year that I personally became aware of Ollie Bearman and decided to follow his career going forward. 2022 would see Ollie jump up to FIA Formula 3 with the Prema Racing team. He did only manage to win 1 race that year at Spa, but with the help of 8 podiums and with consistent point scoring positions, he secured P3 in the standings with 132 points, just behind Zane Maloney on 134 and eventual championship winner Victor Martins on 139, which I think is a very impressive season for a rookie. This is where things take a turn for the worse, I think, for Ollie here. His time in Formula 2 hasn't been fantastic. In 2023, Ollie would step up to Formula 2, again racing with Prema, and he did only manage a P6 in his rookie year, which isn't bad at all, and the Formula 2 grid that year was stacked with talent. However, for this year, in 2024, his Formula 2 campaign got even worse. He did finish the year down in P12 in the championship, but there are a lot of questions around the competitiveness of the Prema Racing team this year. Again, Kimi Antonelli, who won everything in his junior career, really came in and struggled, so ultimately what the Formula 1 teams care about is how fast he can drive a Formula 1 car, not a Formula 2 car, and Ollie's obviously shown he's got what it takes. Ollie did manage to win 3 races in Austria, Monza and Qatar. Liam Lawson is up next, the 22-year-old from Hastings in New Zealand. Liam was born on the 11th of February 2002. Now we are all waiting on the news from Red Bull to drop, whether or not Liam's got the seat in the Red Bull, or if he's going to be the Racing Bulls team, or if they're going to hire Checo to do another year. Why would they hire Checo to do another year? I'm Team Liam, honestly. I want Liam to get the drive. I'm sorry, Yuki. I'm sorry, Checo. Go Liam. Now, Liam Lawson has raced in a huge number of series. Take a look at his Wikipedia page. It is crazy. And honestly, most of it I've never even heard of. In 2017, he was racing in the Aussie Formula 4 Championship, where he came in P2. In 2018, Liam would race in the ADAC Formula 4 Championship, finishing P2 in the standings. He also did take part in the Formula 4 Asia Series, but he did only compete in a few races that year. In 2019, Liam stepped up into FIA Formula 3, where he did finish the year in P11, which of course isn't much to write home about, but of course it was his rookie year, so what are the expectations really? 2022, we would see Liam return to the Formula 3 Championship, taking 3 wins, 1 pole position and 6 podiums, which was enough to secure him with P5 in the championship. This performance was enough to see Red Bull promote him to the Formula 2 Championship for 2021. 2021, Liam would race full-time in both Formula 2 and the DTM series. In Formula 2, he did finish in P9 in the standings, which may not sound amazing, but going between driving single-seaters and sports cars must have been pretty tough. And again, it is his rookie year, so what are the expectations? But I think that Liam's DTM season was massively impressive. This is top-level sports car racing. This isn't some junior series. Liam showcased amazing adaptability here, winning his first race in the series at Monza. Liam did go into the final race of the year at Norrisring, leading the championship. Unfortunately for Liam, he was taken out of the race at the first corner, and due to some controversial driver swapping at the head of the field, Liam lost by just 3 points. 2022 would see Liam return to Formula 2, getting a much more respectable P3 in the championship. This was alongside being both AlphaTauri and Red Bull's reserve and test driver, so lots and lots and lots of hours in the simulator for Liam. In 2023, we saw Liam go over to Japan and take part in the Super Formula Championship. He unfortunately just missed out on the title to Ritomo Miyata, but for a rookie in that field, I think this is very impressive. Super Formula is no joke, nor is it really a junior category. These cars are as close to Formula 1 as you can get. Red Bull do have a habit of making their junior drivers compete in Super Formula. I think Pierre Gasly also did that. And it wouldn't be Liam Lawson if he didn't also take part in another series. Of course, he did take part in 5 Formula 1 races that year, replacing Daniel Ricciardo when he broke his hand at Zandvoort. Moving on to our youngest rookie of the year, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Kimi is just 18 years old and was born on the 25th of August 2006. 2006? 2006. The amount 2000. This man was born in 2006. 2006. 2006. Why are these drivers all so young? I tell you, if you ever want to feel bad about yourself, just look at how young these new guys are. I can tell you now, at 18, I was certainly not getting ready for my first season of Formula 1. Moving on from my existential crisis there. I'm going to absolutely butcher this, I'm sure, but Kimi was born and raised in Bologna. Racing was in Kimi's blood from a young age, as his father was a sports car racer, and no slouch at that. As is the theme for pretty much every Formula 1 driver we've ever seen, Kimi's karting record is spectacular. But his car racing debut came in 2021 in the Formula 4 Italian Championship, where he finished in P10 with 3 podiums to his name, which I think is pretty impressive for a kid fresh out of go-karts. 2022 was a breakthrough year for Kimi, where he competed full-time in Italian Formula 4 and ADAC Formula 4, winning both titles, much like Ollie Bearman did the year before. But it doesn't stop there. In 2023, Kimi went on to win another 2 titles. He raced in Formula Regional Middle Eastern and the Formula Regional Euro Cup, where he finished P1 in the standings. Most of his championship wins were very dominant as well, particularly his Formula 4 in Italy 2022. If you just look at the results, like first. In 2024, we would see Kimi move up to Formula 2, completely skipping FIA Formula 3. He partnered up, of course, with Ollie Bearman at Prema Racing and went on to finish P6 in the standings, which I think is a pretty impressive year. That Formula 2 grid, again, is absolutely stacked with talent. So to come P6 in your rookie year, with a pretty difficult car to drive, it looked like, I think that's pretty impressive. Kimi also spent that year being Mercedes test and reserve driver and took part in the FP1 session at Monza, where he kind of binned it into the barriers. Mercedes did come out after that session say, although yes, Kimi did crash the car, apparently his timing on that lap was so fast that was enough for them to sign him up. Moving on now to the 20-year-old Brazilian driver, Gabriel Bortoleto. I didn't make a note of Bortoleto's age, so I'm having to look it up. 14th of October 2004. Gabriel Bortoleto was born on the 14th of October 2004 in the Sao Paulo region of Brazil, just 30 minutes down from the Interlagos race circuit. Now, Bortoleto is an interesting one because his junior career doesn't look fantastic at first glance until he got to Formula 3. I first became aware of Bortoleto in the 2023 Formula 3 season, where he did win the championship in his rookie year, which is massively impressive. Before joining Formula 3, Bortoleto's best finish of the year was a P5 in any championship he's competed in, which doesn't really have the markings of a future Formula 1 star written all over it. One rookie championship was not enough for the Brazilian driver, so when he was promoted to Formula 2 in 2024, he also won as a rookie. Winning Formula 3 and Formula 2 back-to-back as a rookie is massively impressive. That's something that not many drivers have ever been able to do, but he has got some pretty good company in Charles Leclerc, George Russell and Oscar Piastri. Some pretty good company to be with, if you ask me. Next up, we've got Jack Doohan, who will be racing for Alpine next year. He's currently 21 years old and was born on the 20th of January 2003. Jack is the son of legendary 5-time motorcycle champion Mick Doohan, so racing is pretty much in Jack's blood. Jack Doohan began go-karting at the age of 9, where he was gifted his first go-kart by some German man who made shoes. If anyone knows who this is, do let me know. Jack Doohan's open-wheeler career is the first in this list not to include any championships on the way up. He did, however, finish P2 in the 2019 Formula 3 Asia Series, as well as P2 in Formula 3 in 2021. 2023 would see Jack compete in his second year of Formula 2, where he'd finished P3 in the standings behind Teo Pourchaire and Frédéric Vesti. Again, at first glance, Jack's junior career isn't the greatest we've ever seen, but obviously these junior categories aren't always the full story. As well, I have heard a lot of Formula 2 drivers say in their interviews that what the teams mostly look for is their testing in the Formula 1 cars. Last up, we have got Isack Hadjar. Now, obviously, we don't know if Isaac's going to be racing next year or not, but I wanted to include him in this list anyway, because I've seen him talking in interviews, and whenever he gets asked about if he's racing next year, he's got a massive smile on his face, and he's like, I can't say whether I've got the seat or not. I feel like if you didn't have the drive, you would just say no, you wouldn't say, I'm not allowed to say. So I'm fully expecting him to be there next year, which is why I've included him today. Now, Hadjar was born in Paris on the 28th of September 2004. He is half French, half Algerian. The 20-year-old is likely going to be racing in the Racing Bulls next year, either alongside Yuki Tsunoda or Liam Lawson, depending on which one of them gets the call up against Max Verstappen next year. Unlike the rest of the drivers on this grid, Hadjar won no championships in cars or go-karts on his way up the motorsport ladder. He did finish P2 in a bunch of go-karting championships, which must really start to see someone else always coming out in front. He also did have a go at the Formula 2 title this year up against Gabriel Bortoleto, but in the season finale at Abu Dhabi, Isack Hadjar stalled on the grid. He did get pulled into the pitch and got going again, but he was already a lap down, so I had no hope of chasing down Bortoleto. Formula 2 cars really need to get anti-stall fitted. We see so many drivers stalling on the grid. It's not fun. Since there's no championship wins to talk about, I thought what we'd do is look back at how he's fared against his teammates throughout the years, in both Formula 2 and Formula 3. In the 2022 Formula 3 Championship, he was racing for High-Tech Grand Prix and came in P4 in the standings on 123 points. As for his two teammates, Kaelan Frederick came in P17 with just 27 points, and Nazim Azman barely got higher than the P20 all year, finishing on 0 points. So a pretty dominant display beating his teammates there. Isack moved up to Formula 2 in 2023, again with High-Tech Grand Prix, this time partnering American racing driver Jack Crawford. Jack finished the year just 1 place higher in P13 with just 2 more points than Hadjar back in P14, so this was a pretty close year for the pair of them. And of course this year he was again racing for High-Tech Grand Prix in Formula 2, where he finished in P2 on 192 points, with his teammate Pepe Marti coming in P14 with just 62 points, less than a third of what Hadjar managed to score. But of course this was Pepe Marti's first year in Formula 2, and there you have it. That is a quick overview of all the 5 rookies driving next year in Formula 1. But there's something else I do want to talk about today, and that is the fact that whenever we see new drivers coming into Formula 1, there's always so many questions about who deserves it, who doesn't deserve it. Particularly, I've seen a lot of questions surrounding Kimi Antonelli, which I do get to an extent. Obviously, he is only 18 years old, but look what Max Verstappen was able to do at just 17 years old. But I do feel bad because all of these junior drivers are just kids with a dream of getting to Formula 1, so don't they all deserve an opportunity? Obviously, I know that isn't realistic. There are, of course, only 20 seats on the grid, but at the end of the day, these kids have sacrificed so much. Not just themselves, but their families as well have poured so much money and time and effort into these kids' careers. So it is a shame that so many people put these drivers down and say they don't deserve a shot. So I think that we should see how these guys get on behind the wheel of a Formula 1 car before we start saying they don't deserve it. I am super excited to see how these guys all get on for 2025, particularly if Liam or Yuki is against Max next year. I can't wait to see how that works out. And Bortoleto as well, back-to-back Formula 3, Formula 2 champion. If Charles, George and Oscar are anything to go by, Bortoleto is going to be absolutely rapid in Formula 1. And I do feel as well that we haven't had fantastic rookies coming through recently. Since 2019, when you had Lando, Alex and George come through together, I feel like we have been lacking in rookie talent recently. The only rookie of the 2020 season was Nicholas Latifi, who, let's be honest, who didn't really do anything but be really slow and crash. The only thing I can remember about Nicholas Latifi is that he loved Nutella. That's all he ever spoke about. In 2021, we saw Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin and Yuki Tsunoda join the grid. Obviously, Yuki is the outlier here. I think Yuki is fantastic. Unfortunately, Mick Schumacher faded quite quickly after his second year, and Nikita Mazepin was Nikita Mazepin. The only rookie of the 2022 season was Zhou Guanyu, who I think did a fine job, but don't get me wrong, I don't think that Zhou is a bad driver by any means. But obviously he has been available through this year and no other team has decided to sign him. But I think Zhou seems like a really, really lovely person. And he's got great style too, which you don't see much of the drivers. Zhou just never really set the Formula 1 world alight. In 2023, we saw Nick de Vries join AlphaTauri, who was replaced very quickly by Daniel Ricciardo. We also had Oscar Piastri joining McLaren, who has done a fantastic job so far. So out of the 7 drivers that have joined Formula 1 since 2020, I think you can only realistically make a case for 2 of them really doing a good job, and that is, of course, Yuki Tsunoda and Oscar Piastri. Let me know in the comments who you guys are most excited to see racing next year. Like I said, for me, it's Liam Lawson. I think 2025 is set to be one of the best years in Formula 1 history. If the second half of 2024 is anything to go by, the pack looks so close. You're going to have multiple race winners, multiple teams winning, and maybe even a championship fight. Who knows? If you did make it this far in the video, please consider dropping a subscribe. We hit 10 subscribers the other day, which I think is absolutely wicked. So thank you so much for that. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Oh, I can't say like, comment, and subscribe. So if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, a comment, or subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Cringe! I completely forgot. There's one rookie we've not spoken about yet. Now, I don't know much about this driver. I don't know if any of you guys might be able to help me out. His name is Fernando Alonso? Apparently he's racing for Aston Martin next year. I've never heard of him.